All right, welcome back to SouFLoTV again, everybody. It is your host with the most. Now, we recently did a story about a St. James woman who was shot and killed last Wednesday in what persons have surmised could be related to her effort to protect her underage daughter from the overtures of an older man. Well, now I've just came across the westernmirror.com. Now, I do not know where the Western Mirror comes from. I'm going to look further into who the Western Mirror is, who owns it, and all that other stuff. Is it reliable source? Someone threw this information at me. And the person that threw the information at me in a bragging way. So, Flo, you don't know the whole story, man. Me have the whole story. See the whole story here. And they just vaguely said, a man she did there with, and is an older man, and her mother was trying to take her away from the older man, and the older man sent people come kill her. That's all the person said. The person didn't say, hey, SouFlo, go check out westernmirror.com. They have another angle to the story on it. You know, they held that as if it was a bragging right or something. So shout out to the subscriber who sent it to me and said, SouFlo, I just got finished watching your video this morning and I think there's more to the story. Check this article out. The article is in westernmirror.com. So I goes over there and it says, staff reporter, name is Barrington Fleming. I am giving credit where credit is due, so they cannot say that I am plagiarizing their work. I'm telling you who wrote this. I also like to reveal my sources sometimes, and this is one of the cases. Anyhow, a St. James woman shot and killed last Wednesday in what many persons has surmised could be related to her efforts to protect her underage daughter from the overtures of an older man. So older man wants her daughter and she's not having it. We're going to talk about this in a minute. Now, the woman's daughter has since been placed in protective custody. The deceased has been identified as 38-year-old maintenance worker Vanetta Brown of Red Ground District in Montpelier, St. James. Now, reports from the Anchovies police are that Brown was at home on Wednesday evening about 7:15 p.m. So early evening, right? 7:15 p.m. is usually when people settled in for the evening with family members. She was home with family members when a lone gunman kicked open her door and shot her several times all over her body. I believe the other story that was reported first said that multiple gunmen kicked open her door. And I was arguing that if multiple gunmen kicked in your door and they all shot only you, even though there were other family members around, then I would start to take a look at the family members. Because remember the other story where the gunman went into the house, killed the girl, and it turns out that family members were in the house, and it was the family members. It was her own blood sister, her sister's daughter, or her sister's two daughters, and other family members were involved in her case. In this particular case, it is now there's a different version to the story. And the story is saying that a lone gunman kicked open her door and shot her multiple times. The police were called and she was taken to the hospital where she was pronounced dead. Her family members escaped unhurt. So there were multiple family members in there. This lone gunman went in like an assassin, hit his target, and got out. Meanwhile, reports that were put out by Western Mirror claiming from a reliable source, a reliable police source, indicates that Brown's 16-year-old daughter would regularly run away from home to be with the older man. In the most recent incident, the daughter is said to have run away to the man's house. She gone to her man's yard. And Brown made a report to the Anchovy police. So I'm sure this man is probably saying, so you carry my name gone a station, girl. The mom made a report to the Anchovy police, who accompanied her. The police accompanied her to the man's house. That was last Monday, where the daughter and the man were found together at the house, along with 2 other men at the house. So here is your 16-year-old daughter running away from your home to go be at some other house. And when you go for police and go to get her, you end up seeing her and 3 men locked up in a house. Right? Is this a case of her being with one of the guys there? Is this a case of her being community property? In other words, they are using her. She is there with multiple guys. Is this a case of they were probably prostituting her? What was the real issue behind all this? In any event, this is documented that in the most recent event, the daughter had run away from her mom's home where she lives and had gone to this man's house. Her mother got wind of it, heard that this is where her daughter was, and made a report to the Anchovy police, who accompanied her to the man's house. She got to the police station. She said, "Officer, my daughter down by Polylen Lane, and she's only 16 years old and she keep running away from home to go be at this man's house." So it's not the first time she's done it. She's done it multiple times before. This time though, she wasn't coming back home. Her mother went, got police, went and picked her up from the man's house. Now, she made a report to the Anchovy police. They went with her over there, right? When that is where the daughter and the man were found inside the house. The police went in there. "Hey, you have so-and-so daughter here?" You know all police the thing already. So they went in and they found her there along with the man and 2 other men. The girl was taken home by her mother, while the men were taken into police custody for failing to report a child in need of care and protection. What was she in need of care for? They said the report is that the girl was taken home by her mother, while the men were taken into police custody for failing to report a child that was in need of care and protection. Following that incident, Brown, which is the mother, is said to have taken her daughter to court on Wednesday, and the courts committed the girl to a place of safety. It was later that same evening that her mother was shot and killed. Wow. So you see, listen to the last part there again, The girl was taken home from the man's house. The mother went down there. She got the police. She went to the man's house, found her daughter where her daughter was, took her daughter out of the house. "Come on, Kamisha, y'all go home. Come. Me not ask you no question." If we're Jamaican mother, them, the strong one, them stay. Right? Took her out. The girl was taken home by her mother, while the men were taken into police custody. So, hey, girl, you make police come on my yard. You make police arrest me and my brethren them. Carry gone up a station. And then the big part is whatever they were doing with her daughter, they weren't able to do it anymore. Because mommy made sure that she not only took her daughter away from there this time, she took her daughter through a process. I think this was one of those cases where her daughter didn't have a choice. You heard we talk about these situations before. Gunman, bad man in the area. Well, if you have any doubt that they were gunmen, the mother's door got kicked in and she was shot multiple times. It was said that the police within that same day, because of people that were around, I don't know if them see who and tell the police I wasn't there. It only makes sense. Or maybe this was the lead that the police was following from what had happened previously. Somebody that would have a motive to do what they did. So they said that within hours, a few hours of that incident, the police went to the man's house where they had taken the girl from before, found him there, and they arrested him there. That is in another report. Now, they're saying that following the incident of when the mom went to their house, took the girl out, and the police arrested the guys that were in the house for failing to report a child in need of care and protection. That's what they were arrested for. She went home with her daughter. Following that incident, she took her daughter to court on Wednesday. So this obviously was a pending case already. Took her daughter to court on Wednesday, and the court committed the girl to a place of safety. It was later that same evening that the mother was shot and killed. Same evening. So the daughter is put in protective custody. Nothing but the same incident, the same situation that I've told you all about before. I said I feel sorry for a lot of these young ladies because in certain areas, there's really nobody there to protect them. And when gunman governed the area, gunman said, hey, girl, I want your body, you know. Bring yourself, come give me, you know. Bad man want you. Hey, you know, sister, bad man want you. Come here, girl. And they're rough with the girls, and that's how they approach them, and that's how they talk to them. And I've heard these conversations before. Me even hear one of the girls, them I say, me no have time for man. Me no reach them age there yet. You know, sister, me still a go to school. And the man I say, nah man, you're ready. You're ready. And I'm me first, forget it. And me are the first one for pick your cherry or forget it or whatever. So preying on these little girls and making them feel like they have no choice. Like, if you not give me your body or yourself, I'm gonna hurt you, kind of thing. So they feel kind of helpless. This is where the culture comes from about them prefer gunman. And some of them girls about them prefer gunman over Brockman. And gunman does it better. And all these other things. I don't know why, but that's what a lot of them are choosing. And maybe it's because they have been getting pressed by gunmen since they were really, really young. Right? And their first experience sexually was probably with a gunman. It was probably coerced or forced. Now, she was 16 years old. And in Jamaica, the legal age of consent is 16. So how was it that her parent, her mom, was able to get police to go to the man's house to take her out of the house? Never mind the fact that when you went there, you found your 16-year-old there with 3 men locked up in a house. Would them run battery on her? What are they doing in there with her? Or was she only with one of them and the other 2 lives there as well? Either way, it don't look good. Because if I saw my 16-year-old girl locked up in some house with 3 men, I would assume the worst. Anyhow, at this point, she's 16. So how come the police wasn't able to say, Miss Lady, I understand what you're saying, you know, but she has reached the age of consent. So if that is where she wants to be, then legally she has a right to be there. What are the other underlying issues here that made it okay for them to go take the girl out of the house? Because she is 16. Now, is it a case where I don't understand all the laws, so I'm asking my audience members to help me out. Is it a case where 16 is the legal age of consent, which means they can consent to sexual activities with someone who is of whatever age they choose. And that someone won't be facing charges under the law because they are engaging in intercourse with somebody who is of age of legal consent. And that is where the buck stops. Isn't that the case? But still, you can't leave home until you are 18. Is it that the case? I know in the United States of America, in the state in which I live, because different states are governed different ways. So in the state in which I live, for instance, in the state of Florida, you can't legally leave home until you're 18, right? And you cannot legally consent to sexual activities until you are 18. So anybody who touch nothing under 18 is in trouble if found out by the law. But in this particular case, I didn't hear any charges of sexual misconduct, any charges of having sex with a minor. I didn't hear any of those charges. They were charged with, according to this report now, failing to report a child that was in need of care and protection. I'm guessing mom reported this before and said her daughter is in danger. Her daughter, and listen, this is probably a single mom as well. So they preyed upon her and her like a pretty daughter. And they said, the father no dead, no daddy no in the house, no man no over there. So it's a weak fence that we can run over. And that is exactly what they did. Approach the girl, start making threats because they figured our mother can't do nothing about it. This woman was one of the braver ones. She said, "Oh no, no, get my daughter. Me not care if you know if you go kill me, oh no, no, get my daughter." So me I go to police station. So she went to the police and asked for help, and she got the help. Shout out to the police for doing a good job on this one and for acting swiftly. The girl herself is in a place of hiding, a secret location, what they call a safe location. If that girl was in the house, they probably wouldn't have kicked off the door. Then again, if that girl was in the house, when they kicked the door off, they probably would have killed her as well. But they did not kill anybody else. And there were other people in the house besides her mom when they kicked the door off. I don't know, yeah, man. All I know is them something are just sad as hell. And it continues to happen and continues to happen and continues to happen. And I say it before, I'm going to say it again in closing this video. We blame government a lot because government can do more. But the real problem, the real underlying issue is what we have become as a people, what we have accepted as entertainment, what we have accepted as cool and nice, what we have accepted as the norm. All these things are coming back to bite us in the ass as a country. We can do better, Jamaica. Jamaican people at home and abroad, we can do better because somehow they're overseas living with the same mentality and carrying out the same animalistic, I shouldn't even say animalistic behavior because the animals are not doing each other like how we are doing each other. The same barbaric behaviors. We can do better. Let's do better. I wish I knew what the solution was, but I don't think this is an overnight fix thing. Leave your comments in the comment section below. And that was an update to the story we had done before. I'm out. Peace.